Yeah. So I need to start from there. So today let us see what is this Oracle VirtualBox and how to install an operating system on that, and what we have to do once it is installed. Like what are the basic things that you have to configure after the operating system has been installed. So tomorrow we will see like how to automate this particular process. See, on the regular basis, I cannot keep on install the operating system every day, right? Like let's say if it is required, I need to have some automation process where I should not look forward and see the manual steps one by one, waiting for that until it is installed and all. So these things I cannot do on a regular basis. When you're working on product-based companies or somewhere, you have to do some experiments on a daily basis or some POCs and all. So in those cases, creating this operating system manually and it will take some time. Okay, it keeps boring, as well as at the same time you cannot do always the manual steps every time whenever it is needed. So let us see how to automate that particular process using a tool called Vagrant. So Vagrant is a tool where you can spin up a virtual machine based on your requirement. Whatever you want, that you will specify, and that will be done for you automatically by your Vagrant tool. Okay. So let us see how this process goes, and then we will go into the networking. Okay. So as I told, I am using Oracle VirtualBox in order to create a Linux operating system VMs. Okay, because I don't want to disturb my base operating system. My base operating system is Windows, which means that on my laptop I have Windows operating system. But now I want to practice on Linux. I have my requirement. While practicing Docker and Kubernetes, I want to do on Linux operating system. So I cannot go and purchase a new laptop and something like that, right? I want to utilize the existing laptop resources to create a Linux operating system. So how we can do that? The simple method is install the Oracle any virtualization tool like hypervisor tool, software hypervisor. Okay, like VMware Workstation, Oracle VirtualBox, or KVM software. We have a desktop KVM as well. So we can install any of these hypervisors. And we can create a virtual machines. Okay, it looks like a physical machine, but these are created through software. That is nothing but hypervisor. Okay, so among this I will be using Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, so this Oracle VirtualBox looks like this. For you, when you install for the first time, you don't see anything on the left hand side. Okay, so how to download this? We have official website, VirtualBox. Okay, VirtualBox download. You can search in Google like this. Okay, you'll get the first link, official link. Just click on that. If you scroll down a bit, you will see based on your platform. Platform in the sense, what is your base operating system? I'm using Windows, so I'll be downloading Windows. For you, if it is Mac, just download for the Mac. If it is already you're using Linux operating system and you want to install on top of that, then you can do this. Okay, Solaris and Solaris IPS host. Okay, so these are things which you have to download. Okay, apart from this, you need to download this extension package. For all the platforms is the same. Okay, it is not specific to any operating system. It is required for your Oracle VirtualBox to attach some disk encryption, or if you want to use some DS PXE booting and all. So we need this particular extension package. Okay, this is common for all the like it is needed for your Oracle VirtualBox. It doesn't rely on your platform. Okay, so these are the two things which we have to do. So I execute on this, it will automatically download. If you click on this, it will download the exe file. So just double click, continue, continue, continue. So until it is finished. Okay, nothing to modify anything. It is not complex. Just we have to click on next, next, next. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. So that is a simple way of installing your Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, if you are already familiar with any other hypervisor and you are able to, you're capable enough in creating the virtual machines, then it's fine. No need to worry too much about it. Okay, you can go through and you can just create a virtual machines. So this is my Oracle VirtualBox. It looks like this, for example. Okay, let me clean up this one. How it looks. Let me remove entire things. I will try to remove because anyway I can create a name. See this one. It's just this is how it looks. Okay, when you install. So first what I need to do, so I need to create a virtual machine with Ubuntu operating system. Okay, so in Linux we have so many operating systems, but Ubuntu is the most popular open source operating system, Linux operating system, which is used for production servers as well. Okay, so that's the reason we are going with it. Okay, CentOS, it's already deprecated, so you are no longer using this CentOS operating system. Red Hat, in the sense, we need a license for that. We can use an open source, but it needs a lot of third-party repositories where it is not recommended to use. Okay, so for the people who are new to completely new to this particular operating system, so I would recommend to go with Ubuntu operating system. So why? Because it gives you a flexibility of using the commands. Okay, and it is easy to use. Okay, it is most probably like it's too easy to use it actually. Okay, and if you don't know the package name or something, if you type the starting characters and if you press a tab, automatically it will show you what are the packages that starts with that particular name. So we have some particular auto completion works actually, which we don't have in any other operating system. Okay, and we are also using in our productions, we are using Ubuntu operating system, and that too specifically we use let's say we use only LTS versions. What is LTS? In the sense, long-term service. Long-term service in the sense, minimum you'll get 5 years of support for that. Okay, for paid customers they will extend for another 3 years or 4 years, so totally you'll get 8 years of that particular operating system support. Okay, that's a benefit we get in open source. Okay, so you get some support from that particular operating system for 8 years. That is called as long-term services. Okay, no need to worry too much about upgrading the operating system on regular basis. Okay, for 8 years I can relax. Okay, I can do a patchworks if it is needed, and I can do some minor upgrades and all. That's enough for me. For 8 years, I need to no need to worry about my operating system unless it is really needed for your application. Okay, so that's a benefit we get. So how will you download the ISO? So in order to install the operating system on virtual machines or a bare metal server, we need an ISO. Okay, so that ISO you need to download from the official page itself. So how will you search Ubuntu server, or you can just give Ubuntu 20. Let's give like this server download. Okay, you can see ubuntu.com download. You'll get server like this. Click on that. I think here it will show you. If not, we'll go to the it's user guides. Okay, let me do like in this way. So here we have desktop. Okay, don't use a desktop. Okay, it is for the people like who want to install on their base operating system, like that you can use a desktop. But why you should not use desktop? Because you should get habituated to the real-time world. Okay, in the real world they don't use a desktop, they use server edition. Server and desktop is basic thing is nothing but you will have GUI for everything. For a desktop, how you look for Windows, right? For everything you'll have some dashboard and all. Okay, for every if you want to manage something, whereas server in the sense manually you have to execute a command. Okay, so that's the reason we should get habituated to this server edition. So click on that. Click manual server install. Why it is just a second. So we have this one. You can see when I clicked on manual server installation, we have download Ubuntu server 20.04 to LTS version. Okay, so just click on this. Okay, so it is automatically downloading right now. So you can see you get this AMD 64 like this. Okay, if you are using anything like ARM or anything power or something like that, you can just click on the alternatives. Okay, so this is how it is. Okay, you can just download. Okay, so this is how we can download. If you want, we can just read the instructions and all. Okay, so now let's go. Or else if you want to simplify your job, Ubuntu, okay, 20.04. Okay, download. That is the latest version. Okay, server. If you see here, sorry, just let me go back. Here you can see. Yeah. So if you look at your Ubuntu operating system downloads and all, this Ubuntu systems we use even numbers. Remember, always we use even numbers. Only in even numbers you will see LTS version, long-term service. In odd numbers, it is only for experiment. Okay, experimental purpose or a development purpose. Don't use odd numbers of versions in Ubuntu. In Ubuntu, you have to use only even numbers: 20.04, 10.04, 20, 12.04, 14.04, 16.04, 18.04, 20.04. Next coming future, it is 22.04, like that. Okay, so simple, like you can search 20.04 and you will get here directly like desktop image, server install image. Just click on this, it will download. If you want from any other alternative, you can just scroll down, you will get some bunch of links. Okay, so keep it with you guys. This one I'll give you in the chat room, so you can save it, bookmark or save it somewhere. Okay, this is the one. Okay, and this is the one for downloading the Oracle Virtualbox. Okay, done. Now once it is downloaded, it will be downloaded into your base operating system. Now open your Oracle Virtualbox, click on new. Okay, and then give some name. Okay, let's say Ubuntu Docker. Give like that, so that I can understand about, by looking at the name of my VM, I can understand what it is used for. So Ubuntu Docker, which means that on Ubuntu operating system I installed Docker. Okay, then Linux, it automatically selected Ubuntu. Okay, if you are not able to see something like, oh, okay, Ubuntu underscore 64-bit, you can see, right? If you are not able to see anything like 64-bit operating system, so then we have to enable the, in the BIOS you have to enable 64 like virtualization. Okay, if you don't enable, you don't see anything like 64-bit here in the versions. Okay, so be careful, like in the BIOS version, in the BIOS settings, just enable the virtualization if you are using your laptop for practicing all the virtual machines and installing, creating the virtual machines and installing the what are the tools we are looking forward. Okay, then click on next. So here you can see I have 20 GB of RAM. You can see 20480 in the MB is equal to 20 GB. Okay, out of this 20 GB, by default it will allocate 1024 MB, which means that 1 GB. Okay, how much GB you want to allocate out of 20 GB to your virtual machine? Let's say I just want to allocate some 4 GB of RAM or some 6 GB, somewhere around 6 GB. Okay, it should not be so much accurate. Okay, no need to worry too much. Okay, so 6 GB of RAM I have allocated, which means that if this virtual machine is running, only when it is running, your base operating system will have only 14 GB of RAM and 6 GB of RAM will be used by your virtual machine only when it is running. If it is shut down, your virtual machine is off or shut down, all the 20 GB will be available for your base operating system. Okay, so don't get confused with that. Yeah. Next, so we are creating a virtual hard disk, which means that, as I told you, right, we will have virtual RAM, virtual CPU, virtual hard disk. Why? Because this is created through software. That's the reason it is called as virtual. It is not physical disk, right? See, what are the RAM I allocated? It's not physical RAM which are slot which I have given to my virtual machine. It is through software. I allocated some amount of portion of RAM to my virtual machine. Okay, it's not physical. So that's the reason these are called as virtual. The entire system is called as virtual machine. Okay, so create. You can see the extension of the hard disk will be VDI. Okay, and what is this? Dynamic and fixed size. Just a second, guys. You'll get some background noise. Just ignore it. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the break. So now dynamic allocation, we have fixed size, which means that whatever the virtual hard disk you allocate to your virtual machine, right? So that when you allocate, you can just allocate entire the hard disk what you have, 2 terabyte, let's say. It doesn't mean that your virtual machine will use 2 terabyte of hard disk. Okay, it will only use how much amount is needed, and based on the requirement, it will start increasing it. Okay, it will start occupying the based on the requirement. Okay, if you want that kind of approach, you can go for dynamic allocation, the default one. If you want fixed one, which means that if you allocate 50 GB in the sense, now the entire VM will use that 50 GB, okay, of your hard disk. Okay, that is a basic difference. So by default, let us go with the dynamic allocation. Okay, click on next. By default, you can see it is trying to allocate 10 GB of hard disk to your virtual machine. So I just want to increase it too. If I do like this also, nothing will happen. 2 terabyte. It doesn't mean that it will use 2 terabyte right away. It will use only it will use only how much it is needed. So let me allocate. As per my knowledge, I know that 60 GB or 100 GB is more than enough. Okay, somewhere around 100 GB. We try to give the accurate number. We then create. Now your virtual machine was created. Okay, but we haven't specified. We have not booted this particular virtual machine with an operating system. So we have to install. Okay, so let us say how to install operating system on this virtual machine. Okay, now let's go to settings. There are two ways to go to settings. Either whichever option you want to change, you can directly click on that particular section, or you can open this entire sections using settings, or you can just give direct right click on this and you can open settings. Okay, so these are the three ways which you can open your settings of this virtual machine. Okay, so let's go to settings. Here I want to go to storage. Here click on this empty, and here this is disk, and choose your ISO. Okay, so let me choose the ISO. Oh my god, I think ISO is not downloaded or what. Okay, let me do it for you. It's my mistake. Okay, how much time it will take, let me see. Maybe it takes approximately 9 minutes or 10 minutes. Hmm. Depends on internet speed actually. So I think it is telling me 7 minutes. Let me see. Hmm. Maybe this is because I formatted my operating like my disk actually, so that's the reason I guess. Oh,
Hi Sudhir, Shubham this side.
yeah. Hi Shubham.
With the GCP, if like I don't have this much RAM, so if I create an account in GCP, then I just need to like use the Ubuntu computer engine there and
Huh,
then
Ubuntu, yeah.
download the doc.
So you have to no need to download anything. So they will have the images, okay, in their service. You have to select which one you want to use, and you have to continue. So automatically it will create a instance, nothing but a virtual machine in the by the GCP, and it will make it ready for you. Okay, with a public IP and private IP. Okay.
Oh, okay.
For that, I will share the video by today itself in the WhatsApp group. So I think they will add you people to the WhatsApp group. I think few people are already added. If not, they will try to add the WhatsApp group into the WhatsApp group so that you can get these notifications and the files and all. Okay. If not, we will drop an email with the videos. Okay,
Okay.
of the GCP, how to create an account and all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. See, here I am trying to manually install the operating system on this, right? In the GCP side, you will select the ISO which one you want. Automatically, it will install for you. Okay, so like there, it is something like an auto completion. Okay, no need of manual interruption to install the operating system. Okay, you can select Ubuntu in Ubuntu which version you want. Everything it will ask you. Okay, in AWS we call it as AMI, right? Amazon Machine Image. Similar to that. So in the cloud you call it as image. Let me show you how to create instance in AWS, as well as if you people are interested to practice in the cloud side, means like creating instance. I'm not talking about AKS or EKS, okay, GKS. I'm talking about if you want to create instances in the AWS side or a GCP. Let me show you that. Okay, GCP I'll share the video. AWS I will show you that. Okay, it doesn't take much time.
And Sudhir, in AWS, we don't have like the free that free tier.
Yeah, that's a problem. We have to be careful, nothing to worry. Just you have to be careful which one is free. That image you have to use and that flavor you have to use. Not image, that flavor you have to use. That is the only thing you have to take care. You got the point,
Like
right? What I'm saying.
yeah, so while setting up is it possible to set up the cluster with so less RAM
Yes,
on
we
it?
can. Yes, we can. Actually, if you want to form the cluster of Kubernetes, at least you need two core CPUs and RAM minimum 2 GB. Okay, if you have these specifications or this flavor, you can create a cluster. That is possible. Okay,
Okay, okay, okay,
yeah, I'll tell you at that time, so you'll come to know how to do it. Meanwhile, you can practice with Docker Swarm and all, right? That is enough for us. One core CPU, 4 GB or 3 GB RAM is more than enough.
okay, okay.
Yes, Sudhir, if you're going through the GCP, can that be accessible to intranet? Is that safe?
Yeah, that's what
Or
I'm saying. Your instance, the only problem is every time when you try to access your instance, restart your instance, you will get a new public IP address. Okay, it is not fixed. Okay,
yeah, that's
so
true,
you'll get
but
it.
it can be accessible through the intranet, right?
Of course, why not? If you're public IP in the sense, obviously you can access from anywhere in the geographical location, right?
No, no, from the private network.
Yeah, that's what. From the internet you can access. That's right. How will you log into your VM? Through the public IP.
Okay.
Private IP is constant. It will never change if you reboot your system. There will be a public IP assigned alternately to your instance. That will change if you restart your system all the time. Okay.
Yeah, okay, good.
If you want to fixed, it is called as elastic IP address. You have to pay for it. Pay for it in the sense that credit will be your credit will go down if you start using those kind of things. Okay. So let us not go into that, right?
Okay.
Hey Sudhir, this is Uday here.
Yeah. There.
Yesterday I missed your session, but I have had a look on the session for a couple of minutes ago, so I'm happy with that. I have a question about what is the design consideration when I'm working on the tier 2, tier 3 application to bring it to the Docker Kubernetes environment. So what you can what can you preferable? Oh, this application we can work it out on the Kubernetes and Docker's platform.
See, Docker platform is something where if you are working only on Docker and this one, right, it is like a standalone. Okay, you don't get too many benefits what you run on your Kubernetes, right? In Kubernetes, you can run your application on a high level, secured. Like when you're trying to deploy your application, there are so many factors which you try to deploy. If you want to expose application outside, okay, we have a way to access your application from outside. Okay, Kubernetes provides you a way to communicate to your application. And if you want to run your application as high availability, which means that if your one application, like if your application is down, there has to be some standby applications which are running, which should serve my data. Okay, this is fine. So how it will be handled? So this will be handled by internal load balancer, which is called as service. Okay, so it is like multiple things which are clubbed together in Kubernetes. Okay, it is not need that if you want to manage your application and high availability. In earlier, we used to install so many tools and we used to manage and monitor those particular tools, which is a headache for your administrator, right? Whatever it is. It is really a headache for an administrator to manage these many tools. Now in Kubernetes, it itself is providing you these many features. So you have to just configure properly and see whether it is working as per your expectations or not. That's it. So your application will be accessible. If you don't want, you will not, you will provide a network policy, firewall, a kind of thing from Kubernetes side, not only about operating system I'm talking about. It's like Kubernetes side where it is providing you a firewall in the networking side, which is called as network policy, where you can block some port numbers saying that the ports which are present in a different namespace should not access my application. I can add a default deny and allow only few ports to access my application. So all these things can be done in Kubernetes itself. No need to look for any other tool to do these kind of things. Okay, to run your application.
So there I can reframe the question. Okay, my question
Yeah.
is, I have a two-tier application. Okay, one is a database and another one is a front-end web
Yeah.
application. Just think about it. Okay, so the two-tier application, I have to bring it to the Dockers, right? So I have created a cluster, Kubernetes cluster and pods and everything I have. So I have to
Okay.
decide now. So two-tier application, one is for database, one is for web application, needs to be installed in the pod. I grouping a pod, right? So one pod is
Mhm.
belongs to the web application, another one is for pod is belongs to DB, right?
Okay.
So I just want to know, so how can you build a web application in Dockers? What is the consideration you want to know before I bring the traditional environment, which is in VMware platform or any hypervisor? I want to bring that in Dockers and Kubernetes environment. So how can you consider, first of all, oh, this application can work? Theoretically, yes, we work, but we need some parameters before you take a decision, right? So when did you take a decision on that point? You
So
understand my
it
question?
depends. See, most of the questions, most of the things will be done on the image level itself. So we know that we will customize our image, whether it is a web application or a database. First of all, you have to customize your image, which means that what are the things that are needed for your application to run in the container level. Okay, most of the things will be done in the image level itself, like installing which operating system on which operating system, which means that let's say on Ubuntu, I want to install Nginx, for example, two tier. It's a front application. It is a web application like Nginx. Okay, in the backend application database like MySQL, for example. So now these two needs an interaction between them, where your web application content will be stored into your database, right? So this is the normal way of deploying your two-tier application. Now, what are the things that you have to take care of? Is nothing but the image. Image is the main thing which will does the job for you. Okay, which means that when you try to create a container using that image, it will spin up everything, whatever it is needed to run your application. So you have to take care properly of your image. Okay, what are the things are needed to run your application? So 90% of the job will be done there itself. And other parameters are nothing but what are the security things that you have to allow. Does this container need host network, or like it needs SE Linux, or it needs root privileges or not? So all these things points you have to take into consideration. Okay, based on that, you have to design your pod and you have to run it. Not a pod actually, we generally do it through deployment. The minimum thing that we use in Kubernetes is like deployment. Okay, let's for time being let us think about pod. Now you have to write your YAML file in such a way that it will run in a secured way, so that it will not have access to your base kernel, or it has a loophole to access the any other container. So these are the considerations which you have to take when you're trying to deploy these two-tier applications on the Docker level. Okay. And next thing is nothing but whether you go for MySQL also, it's the same thing. The image should do all the things for you, creating some tables and creating some users and all the things will be done by the image itself. Now, communication between these two, there are different approaches actually in Kubernetes. Okay. We have to create a service. That service will have a DNS name. That DNS name will never change. That DNS name you have to enter into your configuration files. Okay. So if it is updated in the configuration files, that service will be created and the communication will happen. Okay. So this is how we have to plan. So 90% of the work will be done in the image level itself. And the 5% work will be done. How will you secure your containers so that it will not have access to your base kernel or any other containers running on the same virtual machine or Docker containers or a Kubernetes containers, whatever it is. Okay.
So,
So
so
90% job
you,
will be done.
yeah, you said, so once you decide to deploy a two-tier application in Docker, so we have to be properly download the proper image and customize
No,
it
not
or
download.
deploy.
See, in the container level, it's not about downloading the image. You have to customize the image by adding a Docker file and build your own images. We don't use a direct 100% of the image which is available in the public repository or anything. We have to customize according to our requirement. Okay. And we have to save it in our own repository. It's not that we have to use a public repository all the time. Right.
Right. So I just want to clearly understand the
These are
deep
like part
thing
of the
about
course,
how.
right? See, now I
Yeah, yeah,
cannot
yeah.
explain each and every point. It takes time. So simple thing is 90% of the job will be done by your image. You have to design in a proper way. Okay. And rest of the things is how to run your application in a secured way. So 5%. And the rest of the thing is like how to communicate, how to use which kind of network policies and all. This will be done by the rest of the 5%. So 100% your image will be job will be done. Okay.
Right. So second thing is you said yesterday there is no Windows platform to
Yeah, you
install in
cannot.
Docker.
If you're using, if your base operating system is Linux and you have installed some containerization tool, you cannot create a Windows containers.
Okay. So do you mean I can't run the Windows servers in the Docker?
Yeah, Docker in the sense where you have installed your Docker.
So for example, I have VMware form, and the VMware form allocated resources for Docker and Kubernetes. So
So I'm talking
I'm
like
using.
simple. The question is simple. If you have installed your Docker on Linux operating system, and if you try to create a Windows container, it's not possible. Okay.
Can you repeat it, please?
If you install Docker on any platform Linux operating system, whether it is a virtual machine or a bare metal server, forget about it. If you install Docker on Linux operating system and if you try to create a Windows container, it's not possible. Okay.
So it's a vice versa. If I run the Windows server, I install a Docker
But in
system in Windows.
On Windows, if you try to install Docker, it is a desktop version. It is not a server edition which we have for Windows. And if you try to install and you can create a Linux containers, it is possible. It's not vice versa. Okay.
Right. So currently I'm working with Azure AKS. I'm using Windows servers.
Uday, can we take questions offline? Right now we are discussing on a topic like people does get confused of this. Okay, can we take an offline?
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's go to this, and now I downloaded ISO. So go to the settings, and go to the storage empty, and now I can select my ISO. So choose this is the ISO which I have right now. Okay. And then what are the other things you have to do? Don't do anything with the networking. Let's use it at NAT. I'll tell you what is this NAT and all in the networking concept. Okay. So let us go with this. Um, and then, so here you can see invalid settings detected. Okay. So I see this problem because the problem I'll tell you when I'm trying to create a new VM, right? Somehow I've seen today actually, I've not observed as earlier. So there is no 64-bit operating system here, which means that my BIOS has disabled this particular, somehow it is disabled with the virtualization. Again, I have to re-enable that, and then I have to open this VM, and then you can see the settings will be enabled. You can see now I'm trying to modify something. You can see a pop-up here, invalid settings detected. Okay, so this is where it is bothering me. You can see here, just click on this cursor. The hardware virtualization is enabled in the acceleration section of the system, though it is not supported by the host operating system. Okay, this should be disabled in order to start a virtual systems. Okay, so somewhere I'm trying to run some multiple virtual machines, sorry, multiple hypervisors or something, or in my BIOS, in the virtualization is not enabled. So there might be two factors. Okay, so I have to look into that and I have to resolve this particular problem, and then I can install my operating system for this. Okay, so I will do it for today, and tomorrow we can see like how to do it actually. Okay, I thought it's like it is already enabled. I used to use it for classes, right? So I think somehow it got disabled. Okay, so I need to reboot my system, and in the reboot process I have to I have to go to my BIOS and I have to enable the virtualization. Okay, so so these are the things. Okay, so tomorrow I'll just show you the installation of this operating system, and then I will show you the Vagrant tool. So Vagrant tool is something like, it looks like this. It's a Vagrant by HashiCorp. HashiCorp is a community where it develops so many tools. Among them, we have this Vagrant. Okay, so Vagrant, like it is like a spinning up tool, like it's a infrastructure as a code. Technically we call it as IAC, infrastructure as a code, which means that you are trying to build your infrastructure using some code. Actually, we are not writing any code. In the background, we will write some file. In the file, we will specify what we want to install that particular operating system. Okay, on which you want to install. Okay, do you want to communicate to Oracle VirtualBox and install it? So that specifications we will try to tell. Once you say that, automatically it will take that file, okay, Vagrant file, and then it will, what are the specifications you have done written in that particular file, based on that it will try to create a virtual machine for you. Okay, so what does it mean? You have to download on your base operating system. So I need to use 64-bit. So just download it. So you have to download. Once it is downloaded, you have to install it. Once it is installed, let's say you want to work on Oracle VirtualBox. Okay, so you have to install and specify a box. Okay, so we have to follow which, based on which you are using, you have to write that. So there is a sample file which I have already written. So tomorrow I will explain that. Let me see. I have here. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is a sample file. Let me open with Notepad. It looks like this. Okay, here it is nothing but I'm trying to use Ubuntu 18.04, and this is the host name of my virtual machine, and this is the network, which means that this is the IP address which I'm using, and this is the name of my VM. See, host name is different, and VM name is different. VM name, in the sense, in the Oracle VirtualBox you will see a name, right? Ubuntu Docker. This name is nothing but, this is specified here actually. Okay, name, how much RAM you want, how much CPU you want. These are the minimum specifications. After that, on the bottom you can say I have written some shell. Shell in the sense, I want to run some update command, I want to remove the old packages of Docker, and I want to create a repository, and after that I want to install the new packages of Docker, and then I want to check the version. So when I use this file, automatically it will talk to my Oracle VirtualBox, since I specified like this. Where is it? Now, so since I using VirtualBox here, you can see here provider is VirtualBox. So which means that based on the drivers, it will try to contact your Oracle VirtualBox, and then it will try to spin up a VM with this specifications, 4 GB of RAM and 2 core CPU with this IP address, with installing 18.04 operating system. And then once the operating system is installed, it will run these commands in order to install the Docker. So when your VM is ready, you can go and log into your VM and see that Docker is already installed. So When I want to do some POC, if I want to do it manually, it will take some time, 5 to 10 minutes, right? It depends upon our speed and how your internet is working and all to install the operating system packages and all. It takes some time, maybe on an average, let us say 10 minutes. Now, if you use these kind of tools, right, it will take 2 to 3 minutes. That's it to spin up a VM with this particular packages, whatever you want as a prerequisite. So when you're doing those kind of things, this will simplify your job. Okay. So Vagrant is one of them where you can use it in order to spin up an instances with whatever things you want. Okay. This is one sample example. So tomorrow I'll show you how to install using this as well. Okay. This file is straightforward. It is not too much of coding or something. Just you have to know what are the syntaxes and what are the parameters you have to pass. That's it. Okay. So this is like how we automate the process of creating a virtual machine with operating system installed. Okay. So that one thing I will show you tomorrow. I thought like today it is already set up. Sorry for that actually. I will enable the virtualization on this. And once it is done, tomorrow I will show you the installing the Ubuntu operating system. Okay. Yeah. So this is all for today. So keep it with you guys, this one, Vagrant tool as well. So getting started, just save it in your notepad. So these are the links which you have to save. Let's keep it with you. So class will be from Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, no class. You already know that. So from Monday, we will start the session again. Okay. So the people who already knows about Linux operating system, this might be too much boring actually. So please bear with me. Why? Because even one person doesn't know about operating system. I have to tell the basics of it. Okay. At least what is needed for our sessions for Docker and Kubernetes. At least I need to cover them on that particular parameters as well. Okay. Yeah. So what group
Yeah,
will be
sorry, I
created?
missed it.
And
Sudhir,
yeah.
you said that Saturday is also not there or only the Sunday?
No, we don't have classes on Saturdays and Sundays until unless I
Okay,
say
okay.
specifically there will be no classes. Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. From Monday we'll start with the same timings, and from there on I will enable the virtualization. You already know, guys, right? You already know our laptops like how to enable the virtualization and all. Okay, in BIOS. Okay. If meanwhile I will share the GCP how to use a GCP account as well to create instances. Okay, that also I'll share. So management will share the video of it. Okay. AWS I will show practically how to do it. Okay, it is not recorded actually. I forgot to do it. So AWS I will show you guys actually. Create an account. It's, you can do it on your own. Okay. Thank you.